And joining us now is Dr. Ramzi Ouda, the director at the Palestine Institute for National Security. Dr. Ouda, thank you so much for joining us today at In Focus. How do you interpret, sir, the staggering death toll among aid seekers in Gaza, especially in the context of Trump's remark that surrender is the only way out of this crisis?
First of all, this is not Trump's first statement. He talked many times before and said that if they don't reach an agreement, there will be a war in Gaza. And his threat was against the international law. But we're used to this by now because Trump's statements are actually contradictory, because he said before that surrendering is the solution, and so we have to end this crisis by surrendering. But he also talked and said that we pay a lot to get humanitarian aid to Gaza, and we really want to solve this issue in Gaza. But through what we see in the past month or a month and a half, we see that even the Gaza humanitarian it has a hand in killing civilians daily. Like around 30 to 60 civilians die daily, even children. And maybe we've all heard what the army said about Amir, the child martyr, that he kissed the one of the army's hands and thanked him for the humanitarian aid that they got him, and then on his way back he was killed by Israel. And these are atrocities against civilians. I think that the number of dead people in humanitarian aid places in Gaza humanitarian is, it reached more than 1,300 dead people there.
Sir, now I'm going to go back to, again, the Humanitarian Aid Foundation. France has directly blamed the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation for the recent massacres. Do you, sir, believe that humanitarian aid has now become a tool of control rather than relief?
Yes, I think that's correct. I think so, because the idea of humanitarian aid through the Gaza institution, or by opening the corridor, the goal is to kill the Palestinian civilians. When the convoy arrives, the army attacks it, and
Yes.
By groups from Israel and even by families. People are killed. Several Palestinians are killed. Their children, even when they are trying to get some aid. And I wrote an article about this before, actually, saying that what the occupation forces are doing in Gaza by killing tens of Palestinians daily is like a game. I call it a game of death. They are having fun by killing these people, killing civilians, women, children, and they're competing actually to see how many people they can kill daily. Every man in the army.
Mr. Ramzi, with famine worsening and Western nations still debating recognition, how do ordinary Palestinians perceive the push by countries like Portugal and France towards the Palestinian statehood?
Actually, further than France and Portugal, there are 14 European countries are planning to recognize Palestine as a state, including UK, Canada, and other African countries. I think this is a great achievement. The Palestinian people and the Palestinian government made a statement yesterday thanking all the countries that organized and took part in this conference, and they welcomed the positive statements that these countries made regarding recognizing Palestine as a state, whether in this month or in the upcoming month, like in September. Like they said that in September they're going to recognize Palestine as a state, and they will stop the starvation, and there will be a ceasefire. So there is a strong feeling from all the Western countries, and it is an actual feeling. It's not just in our head. The Israel doesn't want peace. Israel wants to annex the western side. That is their goal. They want to starve civilians and they want to kill them. You know, they want a mass killing in Gaza. They are not aiming. They're not really aiming to reach an agreement or for the civilians to have, you know, a decent life. And so we know that Israel is living. Now they're coming from the countries after what happened yesterday, and the country saying that they recognize Palestine, and so there is an international request also from all the countries that Palestine deserves to be recognized as a state. Um,
Yeah.
so that is.
Sir, we are also seeing horrific escalation in the West Bank, including the killing of the activist Ouda el-Hadalin. Is this settler violence part of a larger strategy, in your opinion, do you think?
This happening and targeting civilians on the Western Bank. This was planned. This was coordinated by Israel. He trained them on, you know, attacking Arabs, and today we're saying groups taking over wide areas in the Western Bank, in Ramallah, in Nablus, and in South Beit Lahem. There are more than 22 settlements that were done by Israel. They will start working on it in the upcoming years, and so we are talking about their goal to annex the Western Bank, to, you know, invest in settlements. This is what it depends on. And so Israel wants to take over even the roads, and to prevent Palestinians from even traveling, you know, so they're under Israeli sovereignty.
And actually, also the US is now refusing visas to the Palestinian Authority officials. Does this also suggest that Washington is actively isolating the Palestinian voices from global diplomacy, do you think? Is that like a strategy?
Yes, the US is punishing us, you know, just like Israel. They're punishing us in every diplomatic achievement. So Israel and the US, they just want to get back at the diplomatic achievement that Palestine achieves, and so what happened in New York doesn't just mean that the success of the Palestinian
conference
diplomacy. So yes, the countries, you know, they succeeded in helping them, and so we think of what Israel and the US are doing by, you know, forcing some kind of punishments like the passports, and so this shows how much the Palestinian diplomacy is working and how Israel is feeling right now, and that all the countries in the world are actually on Palestinians' side. And this is also Trump's statement when he was told that Macron, the French president, will recognize the Palestine as a state. He made fun of that, of Macron. And he said that Macron's statement is actually it's not that important, and so he's making fun even of the rights of human. You know, he shows that he doesn't respect these countries, but actually these and this shows how the European countries have a very important role in achieving what we want.
Mr. Ouda, Egypt has resumed airdrops of aid into Gaza. How can you share with us how significant is Cairo's role now in comparison to the failed US-Israeli aid structure?
Of course, Egypt's role is phenomenal when it comes to supporting the Palestinians, especially in the Gaza Strip, because the Egyptian people and the Egyptian government, they know what they're up against, they know what do they want, and they act accordingly, because um, this cause, it is actually an Arab and an Egyptian cause, and so that's why Egypt's support hasn't stopped ever since the 7th of October. Their support hasn't stopped even for one day, and Egypt has insisted on preventing, dislocating the Palestinians, and Egypt insisted on getting support to the Gaza Strip through the Rafah corridor, which Israel was against, and this shows how much Egypt is working towards the goal. So yes, Egypt is delivery through planes, because it doesn't recognize Israel's control over the corridor, because the corridor is actually like an agreement that was made in 2005 between Palestine and Egypt. So Israel doesn't have shouldn't have any control over that corridor. And so today, Egypt's support and their aid to Gaza, they are trying to deliver it in other ways rather than Rafah, because they don't want to recognize Israel taking control. And so this shows how great Egypt is, and shows how what Israel is actually doing. They are starving the people, they're killing the people, and there should be an Egyptian stance, an Arab stance, and actually the Egyptian government responded to their calls for help, and they are delivering aid to the Palestinians and the Palestinian people. They really appreciate this, and they think that what's happening is because of the long relationship Palestine and Egypt have.
And finally, sir, what message do you think is the international community sending when the price of bread in Gaza is now being paid in blood?
And Israel needs to be held accountable. They need to go to, all the soldiers in the army. They need to be in court. They need to be held accountable. We need a community or an international court, maybe in a European country, and this court must follow the some international decisions, and Israel needs to held accountable. They need to face consequences. So yes, we want a court that was like that one was made for the Nazis or other ones, and so the international community is very responsible to form such courts so that Israel doesn't flee this and is held accountable and faces consequences according to the international law.
Thank you, Dr. Ramzy Ouda, for your powerful insights, and thank you for joining us today.